Officer Jake Miller, fresh out of the academy, was assigned to a quiet small-town beat. He thought it would be routine, ticketing speeders and helping lost kids. All Jake wanted was to own his badge with honor, to prove he wasn't just another rookie filling a uniform. But when he stumbled on bodycam footage showing the police chief planting evidence to protect a local drug boss, Jake realized the corruption ran deeper than he imagined. And now, the footage had vanished from the system. Jake secretly backed up the video and leaked it anonymously to a trusted journalist, knowing it would cost him his career and maybe even his life. The town erupted in scandal. The chief was arrested. Jake resigned before they could fire him. He lost the badge, but kept his soul. They called him the rookie racist cop, and the man he arrested swore he'd never forgive. In a small southern town, fresh out of the academy, Officer Jack Warner made his first big arrest, a young black man named David Cole. The charge? Armed robbery. The evidence? Flimsy at best. David's dream was simple: clear his name, get his law degree, and prove that justice could still exist, even for the accused. But months in jail, a ruined reputation, and whispers in every courtroom doorway nearly broke him. Worse, he learned Jack's bias had shaped the investigation. Years later, David finally became the lawyer, and fate threw them together again, not in a cell, but in a courtroom, with Jack now the defendant, accused of corruption. David stood, looked the man who once destroyed his life in the eye, and defended him. The verdict was acquittal. Jack wept, because redemption doesn't erase the past, but sometimes it rewrites the ending. The jury gasped when the victim's brother walked into court as a defense attorney. 5 years earlier, Thomas Blake's sister had been killed in a late-night hit-and-run. The driver, a troubled young man named Eric, was caught but claimed it was an accident. Thomas wanted justice. He wanted Eric to rot in prison. But the trial collapsed when witnesses vanished. Eric walked free. Thomas's grief turned to rage until he left law enforcement, went to law school, and built a career defending the accused. One day, fate brought Eric back, this time accused of armed robbery. Everyone expected Thomas to push for the harshest sentence. Instead, he took the case. In court, Thomas fought for Eric's acquittal and won. Not because he forgot his sister, but because he understood that one man's worst act doesn't define his whole life. Sometimes redemption means standing up for the person you swore to hate forever. The courtroom froze when the victim's brother walked in as the defense attorney. 5 years ago, Thomas Blake's sister died in a hit-and-run. The driver, Eric, claimed it was an accident. Thomas wanted justice and revenge. But the case fell apart when key witnesses vanished. Eric walked free. Thomas left the police force, went to law school, and built a career defending the accused. Years later, Eric was back, charged with armed robbery. Everyone expected Thomas to fight against him. Instead, he took the case. Thomas won Eric's freedom, not because he forgot, but because he believed redemption should be real, even for those we swore to hate. She swore she'd never defend the man who ruined her father's life, until the day she did. When Anna Morales was 16, her father's small construction company collapsed after a crooked city inspector, Frank Dalton, falsely accused him of fraud. The shame and debt drove her father to an early grave. Anna vowed to become a lawyer, to fight corruption and protect honest people like her dad. Years later, Frank was arrested for bribery. Anna was offered the chance to be on the prosecution's team, but something inside her hesitated. Instead, she shocked everyone by joining the defense. She dug deeper and discovered the charges were a political setup, just like what had happened to her father. Anna cleared Frank's name, not to excuse the past, but to break the cycle of revenge. Because sometimes, redemption means giving others the fairness you were denied. She arrested him. Years later, he saved her life in court. Officer Megan Carter was a tough street cop with a spotless record. One night, she arrested Jamal Harris for armed robbery. The case was fast, the conviction faster. Jamal's only wish was to prove his innocence and reunite with his daughter. Years in prison took everything from him, but he never stopped studying the law from the prison library. When new evidence surfaced, he was released, and he became a licensed paralegal. Then fate flipped the script. Megan was accused of excessive force in a high-profile case. The only person willing to help her? Jamal. In court, he cleared her name, not for revenge, but because forgiveness was his freedom. Sometimes redemption wears a badge, and sometimes it comes from the person you least expect. He once planted evidence to lock a man away. Now that man held his future in his hands. As a rookie cop, Daniel Price was eager to make a name for himself. One night, he framed a small-time mechanic, Ray Torres, for a crime he didn't commit. Ray's only goal was to clear his name and get back to his family. But years in prison stole his business, his marriage, and his health. Ray used the time to study law from the prison library, determined to fight back. After his release, Ray became a licensed investigator. Years later, Daniel, now accused of corruption, needed someone to uncover the truth and save him from a long sentence. The only man qualified was Ray. Ray took the case. Against all odds, he proved Daniel's innocence. Not to erase the past, but to prove that even the wronged can choose the high road.